What's in it for Wiehler? To allow you to pursue your passion, your dream, fly fishing, for 3 months out of the year. What's in it for the company?
We could need more than 500,000 additional construction workers on average just to build all the homes that are going to be needed.
Introducing the PeopleBuilt Podcast with John Wiehler. Because the city we've built is nothing without the stories of the people who built it.
Good day and welcome to the PeopleBuilt Podcast. I'm John Wiehler. I am really excited today to be joined by Luke Russell, who's been a plumber in Calgary for many years, currently works for Wiehler Mechanical. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, John. I'm excited to be here. Yeah, I'm excited to do this. It's exciting stuff for sure.
You know what, let's get right into it. What's your trade?
So I'm a plumber gas fitter, working at Wiehler right now, and I've been in the trade for 16 years now, going on 16. So it's a long time, right? So yeah, it's there's been ups and downs with it, like I think every kind of job you have. So I'm still doing it. So here I am, right?
So how old are you?
I'm 36.
36. So 16 years ago, you'd be 20. So I'd say that's reasonably young in the grand scheme of working. How come you chose to go into plumbing when you're 20?
It was kind of a happy accident. Well, it was my uncle and cousins have a mechanical company here in town. Do big high-rise towers like you see downtown. I needed a job at the time, and I just ended up calling Brandon and I said, "Hey, I need a job. Can I work with you guys?" And he's like, "Yeah, come on." And then I got in and I got on Waterfront Towers. Was my first job, and it was, as a first year, you're doing the hard stuff, carrying garbage and doing everything what a first year does, and that's what I did. And I did that for probably a year, maybe 2 years. I mean, even when I got my ticket, I was still configuring garbage, so that never really stops, right? So yeah.
Is this what you expected your career to be like?
No, I come from a Irish heritage family, so hard work's kind of bred into your system at an early age. And I was raised by a single mother too, so hard work was always something that I was always seeing. Do you know what I mean? And whether it was like mom was a nurse, just seeing what hard work does in life, it kind of just puts into perspective of what my life was going to probably be like. You work hard for things and you're going to get rewarded. Does that make sense?
If you work hard, good things will come to you.
Yeah, totally.
I think in that sense, what does hard work mean? Because we'll say, is my hard work and your hard work, are they the same?
Well, they're different. My wife, who's a teacher, she works hard. And hers is more of the mental thing. I'm sure with you being an owner, yours is more mentally exhausting and working hard to get jobs to make us employed. For hard work for myself, it's me going out, making sure I'm doing the job correctly, making sure that I'm not, slacking off or I'm there to do a job. At the end of the day, you have to do that job properly. You have to do that correctly because there's a downfall to it at the end of it, right? Do you know what I mean? So that's why I think hard work is different in different aspects for sure.
Well, that's a good point. Right? Even the differentiation between the mental side of work that I think everybody has. But then one of the unique aspects of the trades or construction in general is that ability to expend energy, right? That there's a lot of that direct correlation between I'm working with my mind, but I'm also digging in, a 38-foot trench, 18 inches deep in mud. To what extent do you see a difference, let's say, between you and your wife, let's say both working hard?
Mm-hmm.
How does that physical aspect of the job, how is it different or how is it helpful for you?
You're working your body out, and it does get draining on the body too, but it's a good draining, and it's a good kind of how you would feel as compared to that. That's how I would kind of gauge it and stuff like that for sure.
I definitely I have very fond memories of just coming home and being tired.
Yeah.
And mentally tired and physically tired. And I think that sometimes the best sleeps that I've probably ever had in my life were after big work days. That's one amazing part that I feel so grateful for about being able to go into the trades and recognize that correlation between like physical work and mental tiredness, for lack of a better term, it was very much like I got to a point in life where I'm like, what is wrong? Like, why can't I sleep? I've never had this problem. And then people kind of like, started chiming in like, John, like you're not doing anything. You get in your vehicle, you go to the office, you drive around, you have meetings, you get in your vehicle, you drive home, you sit down, you watch TV, you go to bed. It's like very different from from that lifestyle. Yep. I think that's one thing that I have noticed a difference is where, like for you, that physical tiredness, I'm going to say, happens like unintentionally. Like it is just a part of your job. You go to work, it's physical. You don't have to think about it. It's just happening. It's just right up there. It's just there for sure. Right. 100%. Yeah. You start to switch away for more of that, like my style jobs, white collar industries, jobs that are like even supervision jobs, that all of a sudden it's just a very, like, it feels like a subtle switch, but it's absolutely different from the need and desire to be able to work the body out.
I totally agree with that.
For the audience, I think this is something like really special to me is the man who runs the production housing department, Scott. He calls me in and he goes, I just hired this great plumber. So, but when I interviewed him, he goes, I guide fly fishing for 3 months a year. Is that going to be a problem? So tell me what that was like. You came to an interview for this new company that maybe you were familiar with or not, and you declare that your desire is to fly fish 3 months out of the year.
Yeah, it's a passion. So it's a passion that I've turned into a career. It's something that I've worked hard at. I walk into this interview and Scott Spielman, our manager there, and had a great interview. And I told him, I said, the thing with me and Scott in our relationship is being honest with each other. And it has been ever since I started here. For me, being at a company like Wiehler that allows me to do something like that, because you could, I'll talk to other mechanical companies and they've said, we're not going to do that. I've worked in the industry for 16 years. I'm excited to get up and go to work. Like I knew when I was coming back this summer or this winter I knew I was going to be seeing my friends and we were all going to work together and solve problems together on the production side of things. And I was just lucky enough that Wiehler gave me the opportunity to A, do what I love in the summer, and B, give me a home here. And it's been awesome. Like, it's been great.
Was it surprising when the company that you were applying for just said, yeah, 3 months off, no problem, man? Was that basically the tone of the conversation?
I mean, blown away.
Yeah?
I mean, what company's gonna do that? That's a very rare thing. It's a very rare, and I'm very lucky that I found Wiehler and then they're able to let me pursue my passion in the summer. Like it was mind blowing, John. Like, do you know what I mean? Like how does it still blows my mind today that it's a cool thing. It's a really neat thing.
So and I didn't prep you for this question, but I guess when you speak about that it has been your experience, or like it surprises a lot of people. It's mind blowing that this opportunity was extended to you.
Yeah.
What's in it for the company? Like, let's say not even just Wiehler, but we'll use Wiehler specifically.
Sure.
What's in it for Wiehler to allow you to pursue your passion, your dream, fly fishing for 3 months out of the year? What's in it for the company?
I'll tell you, I think there's two answers to this. Number one, I always get clients. Everybody's looking for a good plumber or a good plumbing company. So in that aspect, I'm kind of a spokesperson, I guess, for Wiehler, are in the water a little bit too.
Yeah, because I'd say that, right? So, because I really want to hammer down, like one of the goals of the podcast in general is to start highlighting some of the successes that can take place in our industry, and then how do we get that out there? It's as opposed to, as much as I'd love to say, like, hey, like Wheeler's special because we're able to find Luke and provide Luke an environment where we can both win. How much better is it if we can start to highlight that from a success? Like if it is ultimately successful for you and it's ultimately successful for me. And so number one, brand ambassador, right? Like when I'm out there, I'm an extension of the company's marketing team. So how many people do you guide locally?
My locals, I probably guide around 40 to 60 locals.
Yeah.
Always asking me, where are you working? Because that always comes up on the boat. It will always come up. And then the second part of that question that you asked on top of that is, I took not only yourself out to show you what I do in the summer, So then you're kind of getting that other side of me.
Well, and I think that ties in, once again to another question that I didn't prompt you for. But you spoke very briefly before we went on camera about some videos that you'd done on men's mental health. Or was it mental health or men's mental health?
It was men's mental health in general. And
because what I want to talk about then is like, what is the relationship between 90 days off, right? Or like that's 3 months off and mental health, and then tying into like a long-term career. And kind of trying to tie those together, because like one thing, and I'll declare my bias, right? What I get somebody who takes their mental health seriously, who understands what they want. My experience when we do something like that is I know when you're going to leave, so I can plan for it. And two, I think there's just such a high likelihood that when you come back, you're just going to be better.
Well, for the 90 days that I'm off, I'm outside. I'm in with nature. I lose track of time sometimes. I'm bad for it just because I love being out on that river. And probably yourself when you were out there. And then when I come back and, my season's over, I am like, my body's tired, but I'm ready to go do something else. And I'm ready to, okay, now I've got this. And I'm more recharged. I get more time at home. I get more time to focus on what I have to do during the plumbing aspect of my day. I've never enjoyed plumbing more in my career than I have now.
So does that make, like, is Wiehler a better company? Like, are you a better plumber for Wiehler because of that 90 days off?
Or I would say so. I would say 100%. Like, just the fact that you're allowing me to do this, and it's not a return thing. It's more like a respect thing. And that kind of, for me, goes a long way. You're respecting what I do, and I'm respecting for you guys to allow me to do this. And that's kind of what it all came down to.
How does that, those thoughts on like respect, and you mentioned the word honor, how does that play into like your work ethic?
At the end of the day, we're all human beings. And I'm a human being, a doctor's a human being, owner's a human being, engineer's a human being. We all have our different jobs. So that whole honor thing of like, I owe it to that customer, I owe it to that human being. Like, when you go into these houses and you have to do it, you call and you have to do it, and say there's like a leak in the ceiling, like, these people could have spent their life savings on this house, and now you have to go and do a repair, and that kind of that kind of makes me a little upset sometimes. So I think with the honor system is, you just owe it to people, and you owe it to that aspect of life. Do you know what I mean?
I definitely do. Yeah. I think like, so then, when you are working, is it a 9-to-5 job? Like, do you know, when you start your day, do you know for a fact what time you're gonna be home, usually?
It's funny, right? So the summers are different, whereas like, me and my wife have a pretty good communication, whereas like, all right, the summer is now kind of more parenting with her because I'm busy doing this. And then when I come home, like, I'm still working. I would be doing that 9-to-5 job, and that I'm kind of more of a parent as well. So at the same time, like, I'm still working hard, and the 8-hour day that I do put in hard. And at the same time, you got to go, and then it's not like I have another job after, which is being a dad, right? So in that aspect, that's where Wiehler's been great like that too.
Has that been a difference you've seen then? So if, because you feel that you're treated with respect, like the company respects the fact that you have a family outside of work, that your kids get sick, that your wife also works. And I'll come back to, what does the company gain in return for that then? Like, how are you different, or how do you invest? If I care about you, you care about me. What does that care look like?
I've never been at a company where we've had an HR person. Like in other mechanical companies, I don't think there is HR. Like, maybe there is now, but this is the first one where I've ever seen human resources department.
Well, why is that important? That's a weird thing to say.
Yeah, well, it just shows that you care. You care about your workers. It's a comfort thing. It's a me not, okay, stress, like, okay, well, I'm going to go on Indeed and look for a top because like this isn't going to work. I've never felt that. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, You feel, okay, I'm not going to lose my job. I'm going to be okay. Wheeler's got my back and I've got their back. As long as I go hard and I work hard at what for them, they're going to help me. So it's a return and gain thing, right? Do you know what I mean?
I think I do. And I think so. Like, when you're working, how often do you leave jobs incomplete when you could have completed it?
Not very often.
Yeah. And I know that about you. Right? So I want to give you the confidence. Like,
yeah, not very often. There are the times where you're just like, and then you kind of have to leave because I got to pick up your kid.
Because it's one of those things. Like when I speak with Dana, when I speak with Scott, right? Like, so like your direct manager, supervisor, right? His boss, right? And I hear about like this is what I know about you, right? And we're 3 levels like within the hierarchy of the organization. I don't really know much about you, so it's a need to learn.
Yeah, for sure.
But I understand that like when you go to work, right? Your work is amazing. Your communication with our clients is fantastic, which is a major struggle in all businesses. Communication with clients is hard, and it's one level higher typically in that construction trade industry, because a lot of times you're trying to navigate that conversation between, is this warranty, is it not warranty, is it user error, is it not, is it a mistake, is it our mistake, is it a builder mistake? And to have someone who thinks critically, communicates effectively, very rare. Yeah, right. I think that's one thing that Wiehler does date, right? By like, hey, what do you like? You're amazing when you're at work. How do you stay sharp? And you go, I take 3 months off the year. Not a problem, man. We'll find a way to deal with that.
You kind of did just nail it on the head, though, with what you just said of the communication with the clients.
Yeah.
So what do I do in the summer? I take clients. I communicate with clients all day, right? So I think that kind of turns over to like what you said, what does Wiehler get out? And this is another part to that question is I communicate with clients all over the world. They're my clients. I talk to them. So I bring that over to what I do when I'm going into a house. I'm very polite. I'm one of the most, I've got 3 girls at home. One of the most patient, I find I'm one of the most patient people in the world. And so when you're just trying to deal with clients who are a little bit upset, we'll say, or,
we're very upset sometimes. Yeah. Have you ever had a very upset client?
You know, oh yeah, I guess you bet I have. But in fishing and in plumbing, both sides. You just calm them down. I find if you can calm them down and you can start talking to them in a like that parent voice, well, hey, it's gonna be okay. I'm here. We'll fix the problem. We'll go from here. This is what I can do for you. We're gonna get this sorted. Everything's gonna be okay. Okay. That's the best advice I can give you. And every time I leave the post, it's you have a great day. We'll get this sorted. Like if I can't finish that job, or like I have to come back and be like, we're going to get this sorted. You're not going to have a leaking shower anymore. You're not going to have a leak in this is going to be sorted. Or I will do that right away. And usually people are like, when you get into a house and they're upset and then you fix their problem, it's amazing how that change went from up here down to here. And now they're calm. And if you can get that from that up here to that calm point, then they're happy. Then they're going to be wanting someone like on our service side to come back and so like, or have myself requested back to come and fix whatever issue that they had. I think that's another part of that question that you just asked, what does Wiehler get out of this when I go guiding for 90 months? Is I'm able to take that client side of what I do with fishing and to bring it to the service side and go talk to clients.
I agree. And then so if we take that away just from 90 days fly fishing, do you see that being relevant to just other people like with different needs? Like if there's other people at Wiehler, other people at other companies who have a passion outside of work, as a rule, would you say that it's in companies' best interests to try to provide the space for anybody who wants to have a life outside of work? Or is that ultimately beneficial to the company back?
Absolutely. It's 100% beneficial to the company. You're going to get a better worker. You're going to get a recharged worker. You're going to get someone who wants to be there. If you're not right in your mind and you need to go get right in your mind and to have a company to let you go and do that, you're going to get a better person coming back than you had before they left. Do you know what I mean? That's where it kind of comes down to. That's what I find with that question for sure.
That is my philosophy as well, is that as much as it is delightful just to have somebody who shows up absolutely every single day, puts in 12 hours, goes home, shows up the next day, puts in 12 hours. Yeah, that's awesome. right? That relationship to burnout, stress, anxiety, leading into anger, resentment, right? Like, and then in so many cases, quitting, right? And I think there's that company approach, which I think is really important, where people do try to take a look at the long term, right? Like if we were to look at the relationship between like the company and yourself, let's say if in 2 years, and if you start working in April, you're going to take off 6 months out of 24 months, right? That you want to be here for a long time? Excellent. I want you here for a long time.
Yeah.
Right? So long time, like you're 36 years old, and you go 30 years. You go, it's 3 months a year. Can we make that work? Right? Every year over 30 years, and is the long-term benefit for you knowing what your mental health needs are? Is that ultimately in the company's best interests?
I think if I was to, do the fly fishing for that 6 months, I wouldn't like it anymore. I enjoy it when it's just such a happy balance right now, where it's just, okay, I got that 3 months. It's going to be awesome. And I know it's going to be over. And then I know I'm going to be happy when I come back. Because if you want to keep the good guys, well, you have to keep the good guys happy.
And is the company better? If you keep the good guys happy, should it come at a very an undue hardship cost to the company to keep you happy? Like should it be very painful for Wiehler to provide that, like what you need?
Yeah, I don't think it should be hard. I mean, I'm sure there's probably challenges around it, but like there is with anything. But like you said, if you keep your employees happy, they're going to be happy, and they're going to put just as much. I mean, just in my point of view, I'm going to be happy, and I'm going to be happy doing what I love to do, whether it's on the plumbing side or the fishing side, right? So that's just kind of what goes that way.
So, do you know why it was easy for us to make the decision to let you take your 2 months off?
No, I've always wondered why you would even, or why a company would even. That's such a great. Why would you even consider that? Is it for yourself? Like, what was like? Yeah, we're gonna let this guy take 3 months off. Like, what was your reasoning behind it?
My reasoning stems from my experience with my dad. And when I took Wiehler over, it was me and him and one person in our office. And he took 3 weeks off. And it was awful. I wish, because he's a hard worker. Like, he makes me seem like I'm not a hard worker. Yeah. Right? And so I had to cover up him. And he remember being very stressed. Right? It was a lot of work. And I love my dad, and I'm happy that he had his time off to spend with his mom. Like, and then, 4 years goes by, I get 10 employees. My dad would take 3 weeks off. Not as stressful. Okay, that's interesting. The company grows, and all of a sudden, my dad takes 3 weeks off. And we don't notice. And I started thinking about it from a math perspective.
Okay.
I went, when my dad left that first time, that was 50% of our staff taking a vacation at once. It was an awful experience.
But one day I was stressed. Yeah, no wonder.
When the company was 10 people, that was 10% of our staff taking vacation. Every other staff member, arguably, had to work 10% harder. Like, when it was just me and my dad, I had to work 100% harder to offset his presence.
Right.
That's impossible, right? Like, maybe, it's impossible.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So that's why it felt so bad. Right? And then as the company grew and grew and grew, right? I remember one of our highest productive field guys want to take the whole month of September off to hunt. Right? And I was like, a month? I was like, what are you going to do for me for this? Like, fine, I get that you want to do it, but what are you going to do about that? Because John, I will make sure everything is done before I leave. Like, I will put the hard work into August to make sure that within reason, there's not going to be any headaches in September. Like, are you willing to do that? He's like, yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
And so I started looking. And the line I came up with was, how consistent is my inconsistency? We started thinking, hey, are there people who really like to take time off in the winter? There's a lot of guys who like to take time off in the winter.
Yeah.
So they don't like taking as much time off in the summer. So great. So now we're going to take these guys. So like we got our guy Luke. He's going to come back during their time, fully recharged, right? He's going to want to be there basically just as soon as the snow starts flying, which is going to correspond right in with phenomenal time into a bunch of our staff who just bagged their bodies for the entire summertime. They put in the hard work during the hours. They're going to want to start taking vacations. And it's the neat part about it, as companies grow, like you can do some of the hard work with just thinking. is just being able to look at like, if you were the only person who worked at Wiehler who needed time off, right? And we're trying to give you a full schedule all the time, it's actually impossible.
Yeah.
Right? Can't do it.
Yeah.
But if we recognize, and if any company just recognize that, well, all of our staff want time off. Like there's almost 160 people that draw a paycheck, right, related to Wiehler. At any point in time, somebody's on holidays, right? At any point in time, somebody's sick. At any point in time, somebody's taking care of their kids. It's inevitable, right? And the neat part is that it rarely ever happens all at once. And then so now you're able to weave that these people who have lives, like the human beings who work, who have lives and families and hopes and dreams, and like they want to take time for their mental health. They want to have a hobby. They want to rejuvenate. And all of a sudden you can just go, you know what? There's a very fine balance that the company gets, because if we extend the opportunity to everybody, then it works.
Yeah.
If it's only reserved for Luke, it doesn't work.
So exactly.
I think does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. That makes sense. Yeah, because like you said, it's not in the summer. It's not really, like you said, peak season. Makes total sense. Yeah, I would agree with that. That's a very good answer.
And I think in that regard, it just, coming back to the communication side, like trade companies and construction companies live and die by communication. How much of that pressure do you feel, or have you felt in your career, like that you're playing in high stakes?
Tons.
Yeah.
When you're not communicating, you're in a, especially in the construction aspect, you're not communicating, things go south on you quick. We used to do high-rise towers. That's dangerous. There's dangerous aspects to that job. If you're not communicating, like there's one part there, we took a 8-inch steel pipe. So they're 21-foot lengths, welded them together, put a pipe chase on it, big tower crane comes up, and you have to put it through the hole. So now I'm on top with my crew. This is when I used to run crew. And I have to talk to not only the crane operator and the rigger who's pulling it down slowly, and I'm also having another radio to talk to my crew. Okay, we have to put 2x6s so we can re-rig it and keep dropping it down. Do you know what I mean? So the communication aspect. If I was to even say something different, I'm going to hurt somebody. The communications is a super important part of our job and what we do, right?
Do you need to be smart to do your job? Do you need to be smart?
I would say yes. I say it more or less you need more common sense than anything to do your job. To do my job, you need more common sense. You need to talk people. You need to diagnose things properly. It's more common sense. It's not really much a smart thing, I would find. It's more of a common sense thing. I would say it's be a smart thing. There are smart people. There are smart plumbers. There's guys who do awesome and that's safe. But when they go into the field, it's different. Because now it's that field aspect, right? They could get the 90s, the 100s, whatever it's safe. And you come into the field and it's like, yeah, but I don't know how to glue a P-trap. Our trade, or trades in general, comes down to a lot of common sense and how to run things properly. That's how I would gauge that question.
Well, Luke, thank you very much for joining me.
Yeah,
It's been a long time.
I'm happy you had me on. It's been a lot of fun and I've enjoyed it.